Well, I was fixing to start on this board, which I'm anxious to get installed, but then I remembered that I've got a lot of sensors and a few wires that need to come up from under the van into this area. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and drill this hole here now, which I wasn't looking forward to it. I gotta crawl underneath and shaving's gonna fly everywhere. And then I'm gonna work on this, get this panel installed, which is just out of the way now. Get this other panel installed. I'll have a 110 volt, 120 volt circuit receptacle. The solar disconnect will be here. I'll get the solar wires hooked up to the disconnect. Charger will be functional. Time to get to work. All right, got some wires ran. They go through the floor. And the main thing were the three things for the wastewater tank. Got the level, temperature's hooked up, but then I got the level wire, which will also go to the Servo GX. And then this is gonna be power for the heating pad for the waste tank for cold weather. I feel like I'm forgetting to run another wire, but I don't know what else it would be. All right, everything's done. 110 volt breaker box. All the circuits will come from here. 12 volt fuse box. I did put 110 volt plug back here. This is a garage, they call it. Be under the bed, so. But right now what I wanna do is tinker around. I've got a space heater plugged into the 110 volt, which comes off the inverter from the batteries. All right, space heater's on, using 1400 watts of AC load. All right, now I just started the alternator, putting out 650 watts. We're pulling 2700 watts off the grid. We're using 1400 watts, and the alternator's making 680 watts. So I believe what I'm seeing is in the battery, it's actually putting 1800 watts into the battery after all is said and done. But anyway, I just wanted to give the system a test and a workout. We don't plan on using an actual space heater. That's not great for battery. Up under the front seat, passenger seat, we're gonna install, there's several different brands, but basically they make a heater that burns off of the fuel tank. It actually burns fuel, and then, you know, they're proven to work. Everybody's like, what? Sounds dangerous. But that's what we're gonna use for cold environments to keep the space hot, because these things would, if we were plugged into shore power, then you could use a space heater as much as you want, but it's not good when you're just on battery. It consumes a lot of battery. And I'm not sure if I showed it the other day, but I did hook up I turned on 2 tank levels, but they're not hooked up yet. So it's reading 0 on those, a freshwater and a wastewater tank level. With an environment, I do have a temperature sensor on the waste tank underneath, so I can monitor its temperature. And then on the batteries too, because the batteries are pretty sensitive to below freezing temperatures. So those are probably the only 2 I'm gonna do. All right, today's gonna be solar panels. So when we installed the roof rack, I did put these on so that we could line up the roof rack so the panels would fit just right. Just check it out. So I had to drill this one hole. I only did it for one panel. I don't know how well you can see this, but I punched a hole right in the center. Hopefully they all line up, because I'm gonna pre-drill all of them, mount them on the panels, get them up on the van, and then get everything wired up. Hopefully today. I'd like to see it functioning today. All right, so I got all the hardware mounted, all 4 panels. Wires cut open. I did discover, so the way I'm wired, it's gonna be 2 in series with the sets of 2 in parallel. So that'll double my voltage and double my amperage. That should be right for the charger, the solar charge controller. But the roof on the van is disgusting, so I gotta wash it first. This is an MC4 connection, 2 of them, for solar panels. And they have a very specific crimping tool needed, which I do not have. So installation of solar panels is getting pushed back a day. It'll be, the crimper will be here in the morning. And so my original plan was to run 2 panels in series. So I would connect a wire to one end to like the positive, and then negative to positive would connect the 2 panels, and then that would go to a splitter. So it'd be 2 and 2. That would feed my charge controller. But looking at the wiring, the way my wires come up here, it'll be a lot easier to connect the positive over here to this panel, to this negative, to this positive, and then series all 4 panels together, and then connect the opposite wire, like the negative, to the solar charge controller. All the equipment's compatible, but just the wiring, it'll be a lot easier to do that. But I've still got to wait on that crimper to come in tomorrow morning. All right, so yesterday I was working on solar, realized I needed this crimping tool. All right, just spent all morning piddling. What I have done, I upgraded this bar to a much bigger bar. It was this wire, which was not good for capacity, but the kit came with this bar, which I think was right for capacity, but the bolts on the back of here for the lugs are way too big, so it would have like not had any bar left. I organized some wires, got them looking a lot better, but I cleaned up the wires, and the other main thing was replacing these wires. It had some really, I don't have them out here, I guess this is a piece of it, had some really stiff 6 gauge. Well, this is more of a marine flexible 6 gauge. That goes to the 12 volt fuse box. So now that those chores are taken care of, now I can get back on the solar. I'm gonna try to show y'all how this crimping tool actually crimps. I've never seen it in action, but I'll see if I can zoom in when I start doing it. Mr. Productivity here, checking in. 4 hours later, I've hooked up like 4 wires. All right, they're all done. All 4 bolted down, wired up. All right, so now it's day 15,000 of the Victron electrical install. All right, so I'm trying to avoid reflections while I video this. But first off, the sun, it's at a pretty steep angle. It's November, but still, we're getting 1,360 watts off the grid. Truck's plugged in right now. Almost 500 watts off of solar, and the truck's running, so it's getting almost 700 watts. Looks like a total of almost 2,200 going into the batteries. I lost my percentage value when I shut off the batteries to do the work on the system yesterday. I'm thinking it has to be filled back up to full voltage, and then that'll show up again. All right, so I'm letting everything charge, letting everything run. 2,200 watts. That's like 200 amps ish going into the batteries. So I kind of felt it, and it's like, it's warm. It's not hot, but that's a massive battery, and that's 200 amps. I think this is rated at 500 amps, which might actually make it pretty warm, hot. Put a thermal camera on it and see what it looks like. See if we have any hot spots. So all it is this little camera that plugs into a phone. All right, my FLIR, whatever. This little attachment was dead, so I have to have it plugged in. But as you can see, hoping this is focused. Equipment's obviously gonna be hot. Everything's working. That hotspot's the DC to DC. It's coming off the alternator, charging the batteries. That wire that looks like it's glowing red, looks red hot, white hot. It's not that hot, it's warm. I can't zoom back enough. Yeah, see, when it auto compensates for hot, it auto adjusts the range. So when it takes into account that hot device, that wire doesn't look that hot. But when you just put just that hot wire, then it looks hotter. Not sure how all this looks in the camera. Anyway, what I was really looking for was any hot connections. Make sure I didn't have any loose connections. Looks like that's all good. Oh yeah, I'm not sure if I showed it, but I've also got access to this on the phone. It's a pretty neat system. Anyway, all right, so that's pretty much done. Now, I don't know what I'm gonna work on next. I think I'm gonna work on the bed, because if we get the bed going, we can take a trip. It's November right now, so we're done with the August 105 degree heat. Like, I wouldn't want to camp without an air condition. Maybe the cabinet, which will have the cooktop, maybe the bed, insulation. I don't know. I need to clean it first though. Later. We'll see y'all in the next video.